often hear people talk about fintech is going to be a disruptor in Africa. I come from the school of thought that you can't disrupt what does not even exist. That what we're going to have to do is just naturally upscale, transform, and rejig ourselves. Then we leave the issue of disruption for a later stage in time. So here is my sense. Where is the state of fintech innovations in Nigeria? And I speak to that in regards to the relationship between the investment banks, venture capital funds, and startup companies.
I would like to start from even the definition of fintechs, basically, because like you rightly said, sometimes we focus on the fin part of things. Sometimes we from the tech world focus on the tech part of things. But I think fintech at the end of the day is that intersection between, you know, financial services and technology. And if we see where we are today, I think I can speak more from a technology perspective. Obviously, there are new technologies out there that is going to change, like you said, maybe disrupt, if I can use that word. And some of these technologies are around, you know, so a good example would be maybe like the blockchain technology, which in financial services is going to play a big role. Obviously, we know one of the issues we have when we talk about financial services, why we rely on banks, for example, is the fact that even though you are my good friend, when it comes to money, I do not trust you enough. So I go through a third party, you know, for that trust issues. But when you start looking at technologies like blockchain, for example, which is trying to solve that problem of trust, then from a fintech perspective, what it means is that you are giving me leverage to play in a new space. Okay? So instead of waiting for the bank, I as a fintech can leverage some of these technologies to create more beautiful solutions. And I think lots of them are out there. I mean, people push blockchain. We've got big data. You've got chatbots. You've got artificial intelligence. And all of those things are going to shape financial services as we know it today.
You hear the capital market talks to you that, oh, we are trying to change, but nobody is using blockchain in terms of their back office operation. You hear they are trying to change. Nobody's using AI in terms of their front office solutions. So what really are we doing in Nigeria when we talk about fintech innovation?
We have to start from the point of what is innovation. Yeah. Innovation is the idea of saying that I need new things, I need a better solution, I want to change. And I think if you link this innovation to fintech, you have a good understanding of the fact that one of the key important roles that fintech brings on board is user experience. User experience is a key activity in terms of the solution. And I think for us in Soft Alliance, one of the key areas that we are looking at is how can our customer enjoy the solution that we are providing for them. You find out today that I've not seen, I mean, I'm sure quite a lot of us will have logged in to an application with the intention of making payments, and then you find out at the end of the day, you are probably doing a double payment because of access. So basically, in terms of the experience, I think that there still need to be a lot of work to be done for all the fintech team around to ensure that we're able to provide a solution that has a good user experience and also with ability to ensure security is in place.
Specifically for Nigeria, if you were looking at the state of development of Nigeria's fintech, what kind of countries would you put us in which stage we're in? And what do you see is happening generally? And what have you learned from what we do here?
From my experience, it ties a little bit into your point about listening to your clients and your client experience, that's important. I don't know how it's going to look like in Nigeria because we have to enter the market still. But what we do is that, and I've seen this with several fintechs, is that you don't over-engineer your product. You put out a minimal viable product in the market and you make sure that you listen to your client feedback. So basically you let your clients modify how your product develops over time. This is a little bit how the software as a service companies work, that you don't over-engineer, but listen to the feedback of the client and then add on new features accordingly. So when it comes to Nigeria, I think there's a huge market and a huge potential, but our product here will probably look different than our product in other markets because of the different characteristics and questions we will receive.
What is the best example of fintech innovation in Nigeria you know of?
Obviously, there are so many things that I feel as a customer that I would really like to see. So for example, something as simple as, I'm having a chat with a friend, and then we talk about money, I need to make payments. What stops me from making that payment, while chatting with the person? I mean, and he's right, it's about user experience. This is the kind of user experience that I hope to achieve. This is one. I think the second thing also, and this is for the banks, I mean, you sit on a lot of data, right? It's unbelievable how much data the banks are sitting on today.
Huge.
Show me what you spend your money on, and I can tell you who you are. So in the real sense, based on my transactions or my history, the banks today can actually predict, the kind of person that I am, right? And I think, but then it's data already in there. I do not think the banks are using that today, and I'd like to see more of that. And then there are fintechs out there, great guys that do not have access to this data. I know in Europe today they are talking about open banking, right? Which is basically, can you please, I as a customer, I want to open my data to third parties, because if those guys understand technology, then they can provide me a better solution. Right. Today, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you know your branch managers, okay, of your bank. Okay. So who is giving you financial advice? But, if somebody takes my data, he analyzes that data, he understands my pattern of spend, I can actually have a chatbot or a machine telling me, giving me advice. And all these things are possible today because the data exists. So for me, really, it's not what we are doing today. I think we are just at the beginning of understanding what fintech and, the possibilities out there. But I think, the first thing is, how do third parties get access to that data?
If you look at Nigeria, I think we've really gone far ahead in terms of fintech innovation in Nigeria. Today you can make transfer to your colleague's account within minutes. If you go out of the country, Canada and other areas, you find out that this might not even be possible.
You're correct.
Probably because of regulation. Now, in terms of giving specifics, I want to give two examples of what product that we have in Soft Alliance. One of the innovative solutions that we are currently looking at, which is already in the pilot phase, is what we call soft tax. Soft tax is a solution that enables you to run your assessment without having to fill a form out to generate what your payment assessment to the government would be. And we've been talking about the need for Nigeria to increase their revenue. And today, we've been able to develop this solution with all the legal regulation required for taxes in Nigeria. And if you raise your assessment, you can make payments. Another solution that we currently, in a pilot phase is what you call track your ride. And basically what this does is able to, using the recognition engine, to identify the plate numbers of vehicles. And any infraction that is available, you don't need to have people on the road, going after people that violate the regulation. And honestly, with this solution, you find out that a lot of revenues comes to the government. And also on the part of user, you have the convenience of making payments without any problem or traffic on the road. So there are quite a lot of solutions that I believe that Nigeria have been able to develop. What we need to, the next level that I think we are going, like I mentioned in the previous topic, is that we need more user experience and security into our solution.
We see that the first wave is grinding itself down right now. There's going to be a new wave of innovation, in which case you'll find that the investment banks, which is where that data you are talking of resides, the banks have the data and customers. So when you have the solution, they can basically it just becomes a plug and play. They can then plug you in. How do you see this suggestion of mine, or what are those things that you see from your own global perspective is a direction where people are going in order to get much more aggregate value for the tech companies in providing solutions?
I think banks are still very hands-off and looking at the fintechs, monitoring closely, but there's still, I don't see a lot of investment going yet into the fintech companies from the banks. I see it mainly from family offices actually, or from individuals. So I think the banks are slow to come to the game, but even not only Nigeria and in a global scale, but I do expect it will pick up for sure. At the moment, for startup fintechs, it's still very difficult to get financing. It's very difficult because you're asking people to fund an idea that you have. The financiers all want to see traction first. They want to see your first clients. They want to see that you're going towards break even. But the thing with many fintechs is they have all these, they have pretty high payrolls because you need a certain amount of staff to develop all the applications and the front ends, the back ends to keep all things running. So it's still difficult. And I think that not only in Nigeria, but globally, there's a lot of work to be done there still.
So, gentlemen, last words from you.
I think where we are in terms of the intersection of financial services and technology, this is a good place to be. New technologies out there, fantastic people, developing amazing solutions out there. It's now, how do we coordinate all of these things at the end of the day to give better user experience or better experience to the customers?
We need to collaborate if we really want to move further. And we thank the FinTech organizer. Again, as at last year, things on collaboration wasn't really so much mentioned, but today we can see us talking about it. And I believe that if that collaboration between the banks, the FinTech company, and the FinTech to FinTech companies as well, so that we don't see ourselves as we are holding data, we are holding information that's just going to be beneficial to us alone, but we see it as something that we can benefit together at the end of the day. I think it's going to be a good thing for Nigeria.
Going to be a lot of growing pains everywhere. And I think everybody's focused now on implementing fintech solutions, gathering bigger client base, putting more products out there. I think what people do not really realize yet is the amount of client protection issue and related to
Investor protection.
what do we do with the data? How do we treat the data from the clients that we have? So there's a lot of consumer rights issues, and I think there are a lot of other things that will still come up once we bring this to scale.
Now, no matter how much we move with innovation, if we cannot change simple things like intellectual property rights laws, if we cannot change the model that allows investment banks to relate with the ecosystem of tech businesses, it will be a pipe dream. Because when you build all these solutions, the most important factor in it, the most valuable, is your intellectual property rights. And we're still so far behind in that area. And that's why I would say, try and be a member of Fintech Association, and so we can fight and put ourselves in a position whereby you can get things done. Thank you very much, and good day.